Merry Christmas. I am so glad that you've stumbled on this video today because we are going to teach you everything that you need to get the designer tree of your dreams. And guys, it's so simple. We're going to break it down into 4 steps because I mean, we can all do 4 steps, right? So the design that we're going to be doing today, it's one of my favorite ribbons in the entire store, but it is a vintage Santa Believe theme. And it's going to include a lot of red and white and lots of great pops. So come along. If you love this tree, you can actually purchase the entire package at decoratorswarehouse.com. The first step is our Christmas tree topper. I love Christmas tree toppers because they create kind of a polish at the top of your tree, and it kind of is the starting point for the design on the rest of the tree. So what we're gonna do for our topper, I have a 9-foot tree today. It's kind of a mid to a little bit full size tree. We're gonna be using 3 clusters. So you hear me talk about clusters quite a bit. It's a grouping of sprays. And when I say sprays, I mean, you know, picks or stems that have the height on them, along with a couple florals. So these 4 pieces combine to create the cluster that we're going to be using in the body of the tree as well as the topper. So we're going to add 3 of these clusters to the top of our tree, and then I'm going to fill in with a few other picks, but first I want to go ahead and place these clusters. So I'm going to start with this one. It's my biggest, bulkiest piece, and like I said, I have 3 of them. We're going to run the stem straight down the pole. So when you're doing your topper, our tendency is we kind of want to go sideways because our toppers do expand beyond, but everything is wired so we can actually pull out these individual stems to kind of create that shape without going in at a diagonal. So we'll go straight down in front. And what I can do is use some of the actual greenery of the tree itself. I'm going to wrap it around the spray stem, and then I'm going to do one on the side and one on the other side. Our next stem is this one. I love this stem. I love it because it's, you know, different texture. For one, it's real nice and light and airy. And then it's also going to create a good pop of color in there and break up the red. So I'm going to take the 3 of these and I'm now going to place them in between the 3 that I've already placed. Again, running my stem straight along the pole and then kind of bending these out to create that fanning look. Okay, the stems from my cluster are placed. I'm gonna hold my flowers. I actually wanna put those on the end. A lot of times I only use the clusters and that'll compose my whole topper. I actually wanna pull a few more stems from the body of this tree design into this just to create a little bit more of a fuller topper. So for this 9-foot tree, I have 3 additional stems. I'm gonna use 3 of each of those. For the 7.5 foot, just 2 would be sufficient. And then for 12 foot, you're probably going to want to use like 4 or 5 of those in your topper design. All right, this stem is a gorgeous, kind of a like grayish, light cream colored stem. It's going to break up our red and green. It's going to come compact. Again, we want to open it up, and then we're just going to place these kind of in between the ones that are already up there. All right, I love this. It's just a fun shape, different texture. It's gonna pull the red and white together too. See, these I can kind of pull to get the placement I want. All right, I love this leaf. We have a matching floral. It's gonna pull that design together. This is the last spray that I'm gonna use in my topper. And I like to use a mix. We have berries, so a lot of round. We have a leaf, which is flat. This is kind of a nice fun shape too, so it's not all of the same thing. When choosing your spray toppers, you want pieces with height because what it's doing is it's extending beyond the size of the tree. So you want height and you want different textures. All right, once all your stems are placed, you might want to get down, look at it, adjust it. It takes a little bit of practice to get it exactly where you want. But once it's all placed, I'm going to grab my floral stems, the same ones I'm using in my cluster. I have 3 on this tree. And basically I'm going to like put a cap at the base of this topper. And again, just kind of go straight down, use the stems to wire it in place. And when I do that, I'm not going quite straight. I'm taking the head and I'm angling it out. So I'm going to repeat that 3 times, 1 on each side. All right, how are y'all feeling? You've already completed the very first step of our 4-step process, and the second step is my favorite. I know we have some ribbon fanatics out there. I'm a ribbon fanatic. I just think that it creates the most pop on your tree. It fills in spaces. It's a great value when you think about the amount of area it takes up. So we're gonna be using 2 ribbons on this design. I adore this one. It was like one of our best sellers last year, but it has a really, really cute vintage Santa face along with the words believe. And then we are gonna pair it with this fun, it's really thick, good quality houndstooth ribbon, and then it has that fun little like pom-pom edge. So when I'm pairing ribbon, what I like to do is I like to take my bold pattern ribbon and put that as a top layer. And then for the bottom layer, I just like to use something that's a little more unassuming. So, you know, a solid, something like this, that's just a texture, because we don't want to steal the show from the real player here, which is the Santa one. All right, I'm just gonna let my ribbon drop to the floor, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put them on top of each other. We wanna do a fold, and then we're gonna cut at a diagonal. You always want to use wired ribbon in your designs too, because that's going to make it kind of go where you want it to go. All right, so we're going to start our ribbon right here, kind of at the base of our topper. When I do ribbon, I always work in series of smaller loops and bigger loops, and I always cut the ribbon. It gives a lot of control over where I'm putting it on my tree. And if you don't do it, I think you're going to love it once you start. So with these layered, we're gonna do, actually let me start it there. We're gonna pinch, and then we're gonna fold this into a loop. See how cute? And then I'm basically gonna take this pinch and I'm gonna use the branches of the tree to hold it in place. With it being wired, see how I can kind of use my tail and put it where I want it to go. See, that already looks so cute. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run my hand, kind of creating a billow, and then we're gonna tuck it in. And again, we're gonna wrap the branch around it to hold it. And then with it being wired, you can kind of open that up. See, it already looks so cute. And then I wanna cut a tail. So I'm gonna get the believe and the Santa face, fold it again, create another fishtail. All right, so I have my first continuation here. I'm just basically gonna move over and start my second continuation here. So we're just working in those series of, you know, loops and tails all the way through the design of the tree. And there's no like right or wrong way to do this or even recipe. We're gonna fill in with all of our florals and our ornaments in between where the ribbon's placed. So again, just kind of billowing this out. I'm going in about 1/3 or maybe even 1/2 of the way into the branch. And then I'm using the actual branches of the tree itself to hold it in place. Like one thing when I'm doing this is they don't have to all be the same size. I'm actually doing this one a little bit shorter because I have a shorter run of ribbon here. Okay, so let's talk about what to do when you just have an awkward spot at the bottom of your tree or just a small piece of ribbon. I never like to waste ribbon, so there's always something you can do with it, whether it's just a small tail, whether it's a one loop bow, you can definitely find a use for it. So I have this spot right here. You know, it's not very big. I can't do a big long run, so I'm just gonna do kind of what I call a one loop bow. And basically, I'm gonna take this and do a pleat for my tail. And then I'm basically just folding that over to create the loop. And then I'm gonna cut another tail here. So then what I can do, wherever you have that spot, is just kind of fill in with ribbon. It brings the color into that section. And this is even a little bit longer. I could go down, you know, one row of branches below, attach it there, and then cut that little tail. That works as well. All right, we finished step 2, and you guys, it was so easy, and you can already tell what a difference the ribbon makes. It's my absolute favorite. Give it a shot. If you haven't done ribbon, you're gonna love it. So basically our recipe, whenever you're doing a 9-foot tree, we used 5 rolls of this 5-yard ribbon on each one when you're layering. Anywhere from like 25 to 40 yards is great for a 9-foot tree, and then my recommendation would be 20 to 30 on a 7-foot tree. All right, we're gonna move into step 3, which is our florals and sprays. For the topper, we showed you how to combine a couple different stems with a couple different flowers to create a cluster. We're essentially gonna be creating clusters now to place kind of at a zigzag pattern through the tree. My rule on clusters is if you want middle of the road coverage, I would recommend 1 per foot of tree. So for example, on this 9-foot tree, not counting our topper, we're gonna use 9 in the body of the tree. Okay, so these are my 2 stems, and I basically want to marry them. So I'm gonna lay stem along stem like that, and you can kind of pull some forward and some back. And then we're gonna take our 2 flowers, and again, we're gonna lay these on top of the stems, and we're gonna angle the head out. So see how we kind of have that there. And now, since this one's red, I'm alternating it. I have a white one. That's gonna look really good together. I'm gonna come up. So I don't want them at the same level. I actually wanna extend this one a little bit further and then angle up. Now you don't have to combine them together, but if you want to, this makes it easy for storage. You can actually take one of the stems and wrap it around like that. So now what I can do is I can insert the cluster as, it's almost like a tree bouquet. If you don't want to do that, or you think you might use these stems for something else, just leave them by themselves and don't wrap them. All right, well, I'm going to start kind of here close to the top. And I'm gonna put my first one in this spot, and then I basically want to zigzag through the tree. If your stems are too long when you have them attached like this, you can actually fold this in half. And then you're gonna run it along the branch. And then you can use the stems of the tree itself to hold it in place. Isn't that fun? And we don't want it too far in. We want all of these great stems to cascade out. That's what's gonna give us the texture and dimension on our design. We mentioned 1 per foot is a great rule of thumb if you want kind of a middle coverage. If you want really full coverage, just add a few more to that. So for example, I have 9 here. I could do 12, I could do 15. Basically, I'm using the same recipe or the same formula, but I'm adding quantity to it to get the level of fullness that I want to achieve. Okay, all my clusters are placed, and in addition to the clusters, I like to use a mix of flowers and then individual stem sprays. So the clusters are kind of the groupings here. I'm gonna add in this floral, and basically what I'm doing now is working in a zigzag, but in the opposite formation. So, you know, since I have one kind of here, my next single stem is gonna go opposite, and then I'm gonna work in a diagonal through the tree. The great thing, the flowers, they're super simple. You can just kind of pop them in. They don't need a lot of extra support. If you feel like they need to, just take the branches of the tree itself and wrap it around. For these, I'm using that same rule of thumb, and I'm going with 1 per foot of tree. So I'm gonna have 9 of these. I'm gonna have 9 of all my sprays as well. Okay, so what do y'all think so far? It really is simple, isn't it? You can adapt this to your preferences too. So depending on your level of fullness, you can make it really full, you can make it more simplistic. But we really want to enable you and equip you and just teach you ways to get attainable design in your home. If you like this tree and everything you see here, be sure to hop online. We have a retail store in Arlington, Texas, and we actually sell the package where you can buy all of the decor. It doesn't include the tree, but it's the ribbon, the sprays, the florals, and all of the ornaments too. And then we just ship it to your door. You know, you have the video to supplement, so it's really made to be easy and simple. The sprays I'm gonna use are a mix of different ones. So again, I wanna use some that are round, so berry. I like to counter a berry with a flat stem, so like a leaf is great. And then this is a really nice berry too. It opens up. This is called the dewberry. We sell them in pretty much every color. We use them in wreaths, garlands, every tree design we do, just because look how that opens up, and it's just gonna fill in space so nice. And then this is just kind of a fun shape too. I can pull these out so they're bigger, and it's gonna pull the red and white in too. And for the bigger ones, it's gonna kind of come clumped together. You wanna open this up and then run that along the pole. This one's a little bit unexpected, but it is gonna tie in the color in the ribbon too. Step 3, I love it. Step 3 makes such a difference because this is where all the interest and the dimension comes in with all of the individual sprays. You can already see it starting to look really full, which is nice. The ornaments are step 4. I know there's various ways that you can do this. I kind of like keeping the ornaments until the end because now I can really see where, you know, I have holes or dark spaces, and then I can use the ornaments to fill in. One of my biggest tips on ornaments too is to scale the ornaments appropriate to the tree size. So I know we've all been there, I've been there too, where you buy, you know, hundreds of souvenir ornaments or small ornaments, and you put them on the tree and the tree looks so empty because they're small. Whenever you use this 4-step layering, it's all the individual pieces working together to really fill in the area of the tree. Now we can come in with balls, and this is just kind of a supplemental thing to bring in pops of color, to fill in holes, and then to create a really polished looking tree. So when I use balls as the base, then I can take all my specialty or collected ornaments and put those on the outer ends of the branches to really pop. So for this particular design, I loved these. I thought it was really gonna complement the red and white design, and it's gonna give a nice little pop in there too. Shatterproof, you absolutely can't go wrong with shatterproof. We use it in all different sizes, shapes, colors. It's just a great space filler, fills in a lot of area. This is kind of a fun ball, and then I have some of these lollipops too that are gonna be so cute. So now I'm just gonna kind of work them through, again, working in that zigzag. I always use the zigzag because it's gonna create the symmetry through the tree. So I'll start with my shatterproof, and I'm gonna do all of this style and then move on to the next. And what you can see that I'm doing with the shatterproof is I'm tucking these further into the branches rather than putting them on the outside. That's really filling in the hole. Also, because this is kind of a glossy finish, it's gonna brighten it up because sometimes the inside of the tree can look kind of dark. This is gonna create a little pop on the inside. Y'all wanna know my secret? They come with strings, but I actually find it easier whenever these come in, they're in like a little cellophane bag, and then they have like this little twisty tie holding it together. I actually like the twisty ties because they're wired better than the ornament string. So I can actually take that. You can shove these in there, but if you want to, use the little twisty and tie it close to the branch. All right, you guys, there you have it. We've completed our 4-step process, and you can see we have a beautiful designer tree, and it was all accomplished just in a matter of layering. So as a recap, we did our topper, we went into our ribbon, we added our florals and sprays, and we ended with our ornaments. If you guys enjoyed this, be sure to hit subscribe so you can get up to date on all of our latest content. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest. Merry Christmas!